Alright everyone, we'll go ahead and get started here. First off, thank you all for taking the time to sit in here today. I know you got a game coming up, so we'll keep it as short as we can. My name is Brody Barrick. I'm the Director of Player Recruitment and Player Services for the Ontario Hockey League. I'm super excited to be here. I know you're all a year away from your OHL draft still, but it's important for us to be able to provide information to all of you, to your families, coaching staff, etc. First of all, I'm not up here to tell you why the OHL is the only path for anyone moving forward. Not that it might even be the path for some people, but just to provide the information to all of you so that, you know, when you're going through next season, you have some of this information. This won't be the last time you hear some of this stuff all throughout next year, of course. And so just so that when you get to that point in your hockey careers, you can make that informed decision on what's best for you and your own individual path. It's different for everyone. Having the information is the most important part. As we go through today, feel free to ask questions. Players, parents, coaches, that goes for everyone. I'll be around all day today and tomorrow, so if you don't want to ask during the presentation, we can talk at some point or over the course of next season. So just a little bit about me before we get started. I was fortunate enough to play all my minor hockey for the Welland Tigers back when we played. They're the Southern Tier Admirals now. I was fortunate enough to be drafted into the OHL by Sarnia and ultimately play my OHL years there before going on to use my education package at Toronto Metropolitan University, downtown Toronto, formerly Ryerson, back when I played. We'll touch on the education package in a little bit, but I'm incredibly lucky to be able to play in the best junior hockey league in the world, have an education paid for after, and continue playing hockey at a high level. After my time there, I went on and did a master's at the University of Guelph. Also scouted in our league for 6 years prior to taking this job, and so have experience at all levels of the OHL as a player, working for a team, and now working for the league, so I can relate to where you guys are all sitting today and looking ahead to that, the big draft at the end of next season. So can relate, can talk to my experiences, understand what you're all going through right now. So a little bit of our guiding principles before we dive into the presentation today. And these things on the screen here really drive all that we do in ensuring that we put our players first, whether it be on ice, off ice, or any areas of our game. And so the first 2 points there, you guys I'm sure have heard the debate or had questions already about, do I want to go to the O or do I want to go to school, obviously being the NCAA route. And again, I'm not up here to tell anyone what the best path is for them specifically, but when you come to the OHL, it's not just hockey 100% of the time, and that's evident by our scholarship program that we'll touch on in a little bit here. We're guided by player safety, and of course, that means on the ice, if players are injured or any of these things, that's taken care of, but it goes a lot further than that. It's player safety in our communities, in the classroom, on social media, all of these different areas, and our programs and policies that we have in place, would show that. And then, of course, playing a leadership role in players' development. Of course, talking about the best junior hockey league in the world would mean from an on-ice perspective, but it goes a lot further than that. It's developing good students, as we talked about, good teammates, good young men in our communities. It goes a lot further than just the on-ice part of it. So I'm sure there's varying levels of knowledge on the OHL as a whole in this room, and so just a bit of background information. Our league is part of the Canadian Hockey League, the CHL, which is formed by, of course, the OHL, the Western Hockey League, and the QMJHL. And so our 60 teams as a whole is the #1 supplier of talent to U Sports Hockey, which is Canada's university hockey, Canada's national amateur teams, so our U17, U18, and under-20 World Junior teams, and of course the NHL. And our goal at the OHL specifically is to provide our players with that best on and off ice experience, not just putting all of our focus on the on ice player development, but that whole picture. And that's evident by our players first guide, which we'll touch on a little bit at the second half of this presentation here. So as I mentioned off the top, it's going to be pretty high level throughout this presentation today, but First, we'll talk about player development, really the results of what players coming into our league have been able to accomplish and go on to do after their time in our league. So I'm going to play a quick video here for you, and then we'll look at some stats on OHL players moving on to higher levels.
The Edmonton Oilers would like to select with their first pick from the Erie Honors, Connor McDavid. From the Ontario Hockey League, Aaron Ekblad. From the Windsor Spitfires, Tanner Hall, John Tavares. Around the center, McDavid. Phil Tomasino for Robertson scores! Suzuki with great speed, nice movement. Cross by Marner, waits for the line. Marner, magic,
So obviously just a minute-long video, but those are all the guys that I'm sure all of you are watching on a nightly basis in the NHL. You see the banners up here, one outside. We're the best junior hockey league in the world, and statistically speaking, as we'll see on the next slide here, because we have the best players in the world. Okay, and that starts at even before your age group that you guys are at here now, developing through minor hockey systems and all of that. We continually want to be the best league in the world and attract the best players in the world for that reason. So, as I just mentioned, statistically speaking, no single development league puts more players into the NHL draft on a yearly basis than the OHL does. These numbers, just the past 10 years, for frame of reference for this group, you can see on the screen there, we're first in the world in total players drafted, first and second round picks, number of forwards drafted, number of goalies or defensemen drafted, and just a little bit behind in goalies drafted. And NHL released their central scouting rankings for the upcoming draft just last week. We were tied with the Western Hockey League for the most players on the central scouting list with 57 from our 20 teams. So it's a pretty big claim anytime you say you're first in the world in anything, but statistically speaking, with how many players we put through the NHL draft, we're able to say that. And when you look at where these players are coming through in the draft, you can see up there, again, no single development league produces more players into the NHL draft on a yearly basis than our league. On the left-hand side there, just over 16% of the last 10 NHL drafts have come from the OHL. So our league of 20 teams is relatively small when you think about how many different development paths there are for players to take to get to that highest level, and to be able to lead the world in that is quite remarkable. But being drafted, whether you're talking about the OHL draft or the NHL draft, of course doesn't mean you're going to go on to play games 100%. Just like being undrafted doesn't mean that there's no chance you can ever go on to play it in those leagues. And so we look at opening day rosters in the NHL, and this is just from this past season alone. 25% of players on NHL opening day night rosters have come through the OHL. So just under 200 OHL alumni on NHL rosters to start this season. Again, pretty remarkable when you talk about just 20 teams. To have a quarter of the world's best hockey league come from our league is something we're proud of. But know that we have to continue to grow and continue to push these numbers as we bring in the next group of the best players into our league here shortly. So the first half, as we just talked about, was development from an on-ice perspective and stats. Our players' first guide here, and again, just a high-level overview of it. This is how we're able to achieve all those results. And so I have another quick video here for you guys to watch. We'll talk about why this video is important to us and why we like to show it before we walk through the rest of this player's first guide.
I'm Matthew Maggio, right wing for the Windsor Spitfires.
Well, when you talk Spitz, you talk the leading scorer in the OHL. Maggio has been outstanding.
I think he's going to be the league's leading goal scorer by the time the season's done.
The sign out more for Maggio.
My path to the OHL was playing in Windsor until I was 12. Growing up, my dad was actually a trainer for the Windsor Spitfires, so ever since I can remember, I was running around the old Windsor rink, hanging around it and buying time while my dad trained the guys. So I then played for Sun County, and I got drafted 5th round to the Ottawa 67s.
He was 6th overall pick in 2018 by Ottawa originally before being traded for the Spits.
That's a classic score! Matthew Maggio's first Ontario Hockey League goal! The former 67 has spent a short time here in Ottawa, is leading the OHL in scoring.
We knew Matt as a young player growing up in this area, the work ethic. He was an elite player as a minor hockey player, was the Alliance Player of the Year. The Ottawa Hockey Club was smart enough to select him, and then when we brought him here to Windsor, we knew he had some ability, but to see where he has taken it and his work ethic is second to none. And to be quite honest, we're not surprised at the success Matt's having.
Yeah, it was something definitely surreal. It was the middle of the summer, and I just remember getting a phone call from my agent saying that I got traded. Obviously, when you get traded to a hometown team,
They got to go to their newly minted captain, New York Islander prospect, Matthew Maggio.
Played for his hometown team, named captain now of his hometown team. A very cool honor for that young man.
Maggio the captain, back to the middle. Maggio fakes the pass.
Matt's just an unreal kid, both on and off the ice. He's well liked by his teammates and his coaches, and real easy decision, local kid that gives back to his community. We're so proud of Matt, and we expect nothing but the best for this young man.
being a captain here is obviously unbelievable. It's such a storied franchise, and the captains that they've had before me, it's just an honor to be up there with that.
Two really big reasons why I like showing that video. The first one, Matt finished his time in our league as an overage player, not this past season, the season before. Scored 54 goals that season, led the OHL in scoring, signed an NHL contract with the New York Islanders, who drafted him, and won OHL's Most Outstanding Player of the Year for that season. Who remembers what round Matt said he was drafted in this video? 5th round. Okay, so you guys are probably looking ahead to your draft year next season. You're gonna see rankings and lists, and compare yourselves to teammates and people you play against and all of that, which is good to push you moving forward. But the round you're drafted matters for one day, and that's on draft day. And from there, it's up to the player to go in and earn their ice time, earn their spot on the team, and take advantage of those opportunities. So try not to get caught up in all of the noise. I'm sure there will be a lot of it throughout next season. It may have started already, which is okay, but focus on yourself and keep pushing yourselves forward and try not to get caught up in that too much. The second big reason, Bill Bowler, Winter's GM, on the video there talked, of course, about how good of a player Matt is, and we heard some stats and know what he went on to be able to do. Bill talks for the same amount of time, if not longer, about how good of a teammate and person in the community Matt is. And so when we talk about player development, again, we're not just talking about the on-ice part of it. We're talking about wanting the best hockey players in our league with the best people, the best students, the best families, and all of that plays a big factor into why our league has been so successful. So really the hallmark of our player experience is our scholarship education program. So I mentioned it off the top that I was fortunate enough to be able to access it. And what this is any player who plays in our league, whether you're first overall pick, 10th round pick, or an undrafted free agent, every player receives the minimum 1 year of books, tuition, and fees for every year you play in our league. So if you come into our league and play 4 years, you have 4 years of scholarship waiting for you when you finish your time in the OHL. The dollar amount of that scholarship is based on the university closest to your home residence. So for me, growing up in Niagara, Brock University was the closest to my parents' house, and so that's my yearly scholarship amount for me to use anywhere in the world, wherever I want. So I didn't have to go to Brock University, as I mentioned. I went to Toronto Metropolitan University, continued playing my hockey career there at the U Sports level, but that's for our players to take and use anywhere. These are legally binding contracts, so it's not where you can sign your contract and then after the first year the team says, you know what, we actually don't feel like paying that out because you scored 3 goals less than we expected out of you. And so these are legally binding. team and the player agrees to, and the contract that you sign is yours for when you're done playing your junior hockey. So, like I said, it's not a case where things can change if a new coach or GM comes in. That's yours. That's what you've agreed to. That's what you've earned. These costs are also paid for while playing in our league, and so we have players who will take university courses. It's encouraged and recommended by our team that you do while playing in our league. It allows you to get a head start on that university or college career, whatever you're looking to do afterwards, and it doesn't draw away from your scholarship that we just talked about that you've earned. And then our player experience. I think we take for granted sometimes the depth of knowledge that all of our staff members have, whether it be on the hockey ops side, coaches, GMs, people on the business staff, our trainers, our strength and conditioning coaches, all of these people. We talk about being a development league for players, which of course we are. We're a development league for all these individuals as well, and we're constantly seeing people in these roles move on to higher levels. A lot of them have experience at higher levels already, whether it be professional in the NHL or World Juniors or any of these things. And so I don't think you'll find a better collection of people at the junior hockey ranks than we have in our league, and these are the individuals that play that hands-on day-to-day role in your development as a player coming into our league. Our player support programs are all put in place, and we have a long list of them that our players and teams have access to, and trainings and educations that they go through to ensure that every player coming into our league, again, regardless of your draft status, your status as a player, gets to experience our league and the game of hockey the same way. And so, I know it can be a lot moving away from home at a young age. I went through it. Probably it will continue to be harder on parents at the back of the room than it is for the players who are the ones moving away. But ensuring that these players are taken care of is very important to us. So whether it be our mental health support programs, drug education and anti-doping programs, any of our policies on harassment, bullying, hazing, social media, we do everything we can and continue to put our players in situations where they're taken care of and safe in all aspects of their time, in a new community, on a new team with new teammates and all of this. All the best equipment that's available on the market is provided to our players. Billet costs, all of these things are factored in, transportation, to ensure that our players and their families don't have to spend any money on any reasonable expenses out of their own pocket. We're not a pay-to-play league. We don't collect league fees or any of these things. The players show up and are compensated for the expenses that they put into being an OHL hockey player, and student and teammate and all of these things. And then lastly, all of our players receive $1,000 each off-season for training, skill development, all the stuff that you guys do in the off-seasons. Hockey now seems like a 12-month sport more than ever. Your season's end and you guys are right back in the gyms or training camps and all these things. So you're able to put that money towards that. So when you show up to training camp at the beginning of the season, you're ready to go and in top shape. Just a couple more quick points here. U Sports, Canada's national amateur teams, the NHL rely on our talent for their next crop of players. We, of course, rely heavily on our minor hockey partners, and all of your teams and local branches are no exception of that. And so we're proud to support events like this one that we're at here, our U15 camps that happen in May, the OHL Combine, and the big one, the OHL Cup, which I'm sure you're all looking forward to next year and circling on the calendar, hoping to replace Oakville, our most recent champ. So these are all things that not only do we have our name behind and are proud to have our name on, we support them financially, we support them with human resources and individuals to help execute the events. Like I said before, we're the best league in the world because we get the best players, and that all starts obviously at our minor hockey partner level. And the very last slide here, we get the question a lot, so what happens after my time in the OHL? We looked at the last 5 seasons, tracked over 700 players who have come through our league, and you can see the breakdown there. 47% of our graduates went on to play pro hockey of some kind. Of course, that doesn't mean they're all playing in the NHL, but 33% did sign an entry-level contract in the NHL. 14% signed a pro contract of some kind, whether that be in North America or overseas. And then 51% of our graduates went on access their scholarship. You don't have to continue playing hockey at the U Sports level. We see roughly, excuse me, 2/3 of our players do continue playing hockey at the U Sports level. And we're seeing now more than ever, players playing the OHL, get an education paid for afterwards, continue playing, and go sign a pro contract somewhere once their degree is finished. So really the best of both worlds, play in the best junior hockey league in the world, have your education paid for, and go play pro hockey after if you choose to. So worst case scenario of coming through the OHL should be someone like myself who you can go look at what my stats were. They're not going to impress you, I promise, but I got my education paid for and got to play in the best junior hockey league in the world, you know, against and with some of these guys that we watch every night. So obviously fortunate for what I was able to take away from the game. And hopefully that happens for a lot of you in this room as well. So again, appreciate the time. I know you guys have a game coming up here in just over an hour. So again, really thankful that you spent some time in here today. My contact info is there. I'll send this presentation out to the teams as well so you have it. You can go through it again. I promise this won't be the last time you see this over the course of next season. So I'm here to be a resource for all of you, players, parents, coaches, anyone involved, to answer any questions or be here as you go through, you know, this tournament here this weekend and then on your draft here next year. So don't hesitate to reach out anytime. I'm usually in the rinks, so stop me if you see me, and good luck the rest of the way here. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks, everyone.